Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm an airline pilot, and today we are once again going to have a look at the Embraer 195 from Flight Sim Studios. Now, just a couple of hours after I recorded my previous video with it, they did release another update. Looks like updates are coming really frequently these days, and in that one they mostly fixed that texture issue that we had on the Embraer 190 and 195. So that should be out of the way right now, and I thought it would only be just to do another video with it. Also, I'm using the opportunity over here to fly from the brand new Drzewiecki design Warsaw Chopin Airport. That's the capital airport in Poland, and we're going to fly it up on a quick 30-minute flight over to Gdansk. So, typical LOT Polish Airlines Embraer operations, and they have a huge fleet of those aircraft that they use for operations all across Europe. So this one is going to be rather interesting. Now, the airport itself, just to mention it, I did purchase it. It was not a freebie, just mentioning that because I will probably say that I do like its looks. They have once again outdone themselves. And, well, the terminal speaks for itself, I believe, but why don't we just quickly head over to our gate and chat with the gate staff before we go down and start going into our aircraft. So, as you can see, it looks really, really good here, doesn't it? I mean, we're not flying to Nice and we're not flying Wizz Air, but apart from that, you can see phenomenal graphics, even in those parts that you normally wouldn't see too much. Okay, nonetheless, of course we don't have... Well, we do have a jetway interior. It's only that little gap in the area here that's missing. But why don't we head over to our airplane and start getting ready for our flight over here. So, over here we go out. As you can see, the texture issue is fixed. We are flying the 195 today because I thought a little bit of a change would be nice. And as you can see, a couple of very nice animations over here, like the ground power cable, even though the unit itself seems to be lacking in relation with GSX. Talk about GSX, we do have the brand new services for water and for the ship trucks installed as well. Currently not yet active, but we do have our catering here already. We are going to start the full ground operations here in a few moments, so I will try and have everything run in the background. Now, that good stuff out of the way, let's go ahead and board our Embraer, and we are going to start getting it ready. A couple of very nice effects that I just about discovered. You can add a co-pilot to the aircraft, and you can even add a sunshade nowadays. So the modelers are doing really good work over here with the 190 and the 195. Now it's really up to the FMS developers to bring this to a really good aircraft. So just to confirm, we are using version 0.9.31 and the build from the 12th of September from the evening over here. And with that confirmed, let's get rid of that. Okay, so another thing that I do like about those aircraft, yes, I am actually talking about things I like, is that you can operate the aircraft doors manually. So you usually see those things being moved here from the electronic flight bag, but just to show you, you can actually operate them manually, which is pretty cool. So we do have a two-class cabin in this one with a business class at the front. Remember, you can hot swap that cabin in the Flight Sim Studio aircraft, so again, something that the modeler has done really, really well. And I do believe it is the first aircraft where you can actually hot swap between 3 different cabin versions: all economy high density, all economy lower density, and the business class version of the cabin. So pretty cool. So as you can see, I'm not talking exclusively negatively about this airplane anymore, but I am actually talking about all the good points of it as well. Alright then, let's open the aft door as well so that they can start catering on both sides. And with that now out of the way, cleaning services have been completed overnight already. This is the first flight of the day, so everything's fairly straightforward. Alright, looks like the caterers are on the way there with a typical GSX animation. I just really wish they would put a little bit more logic into their stuff. Okay, so the business class seats actually do have screens in them. Quite nice. Now the only big question is, are we going to see anything when we turn on the electrical power? Well, we're about to find out. So let's go right back into the cockpit and let's go ahead and start our ground operations over here. So, batteries going on, and we do have a GPU available which we can turn on as well. It is going to take the airplane a couple of moments here to power everything up, so let's give it those. And while we are still waiting for our ground services, or rather for our aircraft to power up, we can go ahead and order the next ground services here. And this is one of the new ones, and that's going to be request the water service. We want to do that just now, because the water doesn't taste as good when you keep it in the plane and do that early in the night, and then just keep it in the plane for the entire day. Alright, so that stuff's starting. Also, let's go ahead and open those cargo doors already. And, well, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and import the flight from SimBrief. Here we go, Warsaw to Gdansk. A little bit rainy over here, but overall fine weather conditions for flying. Now, let's go ahead and take a quick look into our SimBrief flight plan so that you guys can see the full version, since the EFB is still not able to actually show the actual flight plan itself. So, here we go. That's our SimBrief flight plan here, lot flight 3825, Warsaw to Gdansk. Says 37 minutes over here, but don't be confused, it is going to be shorter because we will very likely not have to fly that entire transition over here. Flight level 220 is our planned cruising level, and as for the weather, our departure airport here, 020 at 11. They are using runway 29 in the real world at the moment, so it is going to be slight tailwind component here. Overcast 500, light drizzle, typical weather conditions really. Now going for our destination airport, we have that right down here. As you can see, good weather conditions all over, probably also runway 29 in use, and the forecast does point to that as well, with a couple of gusts coming in every now and then. So overall, good weather conditions for an IFR flight. For our alternate, we've got Modlin as a backup, which has good weather conditions. However, the cloud base is going down a little bit, and as you can see, we are getting a couple of thunderstorms in the area here as well, even though that is going to be long after our flight. And last but not least, our primary alternate is Warsaw Chopin, where we came from anyway. Okay, so that much about our general setup over here. That means, in terms of the fuel, if they want us to carry 3,800 kilos, then we are going to carry 3,800 kilos. I don't see any reason to take any more than that. 110 guests on board of our aircraft today. Okay, wonderful. So that good stuff out of the way, let's go ahead and go for our departure manifest over here. Fuel total going to be 3,800 as we've briefed. And that's about everything here already. So for our runways, we are going to calculate performance from runway 29. Condition is wet, and we'll calculate a flap 1 takeoff over here. And then we'll also take runway 29, again wet, and this time's a flap 2 takeoff. Alright, grab the current weather please. And that is looking good for me. I will take the instant loading over here, so that we can do the GSX loading straight away. Okay. So hit calculate, and that's our departure manifest calculated for us now. Alright. Trying to click that question mark here, but let's hide that GSX window. Now it works. Perfect. So if you're wondering what all the data means over here, then you can find all that info right over here. That's what I wanted to show you. Okay, another pretty neat feature is that you can actually put your EFB into a position like this. If you've got a screen as large as mine at 42 inches, that makes it fairly easy to actually type in your FMS while at the same time having the electronic flight back over here. If your screen is not as big, then it would still be nice if you could take the entire EFB and just place it somewhere down here. But hey, we are going into the right direction, are we? Okay, so let's see. Catering services should probably be completed by now. Let's go ahead and have a look. Yep, waiting for our action. Close door. Alright, in that case, I am just going to close the aft door from here. I don't want to walk through the entire cabin again. And for the flight deck, or rather for the one right door, let's go over here and close it. The only thing that I'm missing is that you should have to press the gust lock first in order to close the door. You can see that one. I believe it's the one down here. So you'd have to press that one first, and thereafter you could close the door. Maybe that's something they can implement at a future version, because it seems like this airplane is definitely held up by the FMS and the autopilot development, and not by the development of the modelers, which is also apparent by a couple of things, like the attendant panel that seems to be on a way to get working over here. So they are doing a little bit of stuff here. I do believe this is going to work in the future. Okay, so all that good stuff out of the way. Let's go right back into our cockpit, take a seat over here. So let's see, 3,800 kilos are on board. Then we can go ahead and turn on the signs. Also going to turn on the nav light over here. Well, and with that stuff done, let's go ahead and request boarding. Yeah, did you see that jetway just slightly respawn there? Quick look at... Oh, yeah, we do see that. So quick look at the scenery itself. All those aircraft here are static aircraft included in the scenery. Looking pretty neat though. So do we want to board any crew? No, we've done our checks already. So the ground vehicles are coming, and I'd say with that we are going to start working our procedures as well. I just really want to look at the terminal here because it just looks good, doesn't it? Alright. Well, then I suppose we are going to get started with our standard procedures over here. So starting on the overhead panel on the top, flight recorder test, we would have to see the ICAS at the same time, so, well, I'm just going to hit that button, and that's going to be it. GPU in use, everything automatic. I will keep a couple of lights here because it is rather dark with the rain at the moment. Fire test. Looking good. We can keep the APU off for now. Nav lights are on. Then moving over here, let's go ahead and check the hydraulic systems. So all pumps coming on. System status, hydraulics, and the systems are pressurizing. I got to admit they are pressurizing rather slowly here. From any aircraft that I have flown, that should go a lot quicker. But then again, I have not flown an actual Embraer. Okay, and that stuff is looking good. Well then, over to the last part, everything normal and auto over here. So, on our main panel, let's go ahead and take VOR1 and VOR2. Initial climb and all the autopilot modes will come at a later point. QNH, however, was 1009. So, set 1, 2, and 3 times. Alright. I do believe... I'm not sure if the auto brake should be done now or later, so I tell you what, I'm just gonna do it now. Okay, engines off, ignition auto, and all that stuff is looking good down here. Let's get rid of that little thank you message down there. Okay, well, then we can move on to our flight plan. So, 14th of September, active database, and then onto the route page. So, Warsaw to Echo Papa Golf Delta, and the flight is gonna be the lot 3825, I do believe. Okay, let's go ahead and request that flight plan. Should have worked that way, should it? Oh well. Sometimes I really struggle to find these menus again in this aircraft. Sometimes it can be a little bit interesting. Okay, well, doesn't matter. In that case, we'll just insert it manually. So, runway 29. And we are going to go over the Olila 6 Golf departure. Here it is. Okay, apply that. And via Olila, we'll proceed towards Oslok. And then we are gonna land on runway 29 via the ILS approach. We can take the Golf Delta 903 arrival, and we've got the Oslok for Tango, which is down here. Okay, apply that. Now let's go ahead and have a look. Olila 6 Golf. The arrival unfortunately still doesn't show correctly in this airplane. I do hope that that is something they are going to fix at some point. Okay, and that's pretty much everything we need. Then let's go on to our performance. Performance initialization. Takeoff fuel. So, 3,800. And we are supposed to burn 1,300 kilos, so that gives us 2,500 kilos of landing fuel. Okay, next page. Cruising altitude is going to be flight level 220. Cruise winds 094 at 14. Zero fuel weight. Let's go ahead and find that from the electronic flight bag, please. So 38,560. Fuel is good. Gross weight 42,360 is correct if we subtract the taxi fuel from this. Okay. So 270.74 looks good to me. Then let's move on to the takeoff. And what do we have down here on the manifest? Flaps 1 takeoff. And they are using no flaps at all. Using flaps 2 we can get a flaps takeoff. In that case, let's go for flaps 2, shall we? Interesting that we only have the center MCDU button on the top over there, because I would like to use the one on the bottom now. But okay, so let's just move this over here. Makes it a bit easier to read, doesn't it? So what do we have? Takeoff 2 and 34 degrees. Something like that, I suppose. Okay, enter. So, ADX on, ECS. Just to check what they say over here. ECS on, actually. Okay, anti-ice off. Do we have weather conditions available somewhere in here? Not really. Oh yeah, OAT 18 degrees. Yeah, definitely anti-ice off then. Okay. So, on to FMS takeoff and to the flaps, because this was the flap 2 selection. Okay, so wet runway, and 295 is the runway heading, that's correct. The runway slope can be 0, which we can't enter. Okay, also fine. And for the wind, the current ground wind is 020 at 11. Okay, next page, and that flex temperature got reduced again by a degree. I entered 34, but we'll just keep it at that. In any case, then we have 33, takeoff 2, ADX on. That should be just about fine. Alright, we'll accept those speeds. For the climb, then let's go ahead and grab our charts. So we're going from Echo Papa Whiskey Alpha. Let's take the taxi chart first, or the general airport chart, or taxi routes. No, parking stands, because this is really what we need first. Okay, then second, let's take the airport chart, and third, let's go ahead and grab the SID chart. So the departure Olila 6 Golf, let's find that. Right, climb to and maintain 6,000. Here we go. Transition altitude 6,500. Also entered, 250 below 10,000 is okay. And the routing itself, Whiskey Alpha 901, max 200 and above 1,500 feet. And we have 901. Unfortunately, still no restrictions and no way to enter them manually. Okay, I hate it when it does this, when the chart just disappears. It does so because when I'm using the right mouse button to look around, as you can see, the right mouse button also steers the chart in here, and then it can disappear, so that's a bit annoying. Okay, Whiskey Alpha 932. We don't fly the Bamzo, so we don't have any speed restriction on that one. So 931, 932, 791 above 6,000. And in here we've got 3132, 791. And thereafter we proceed via INRAS, RODEV, Olila. And we've got INRAS, RODEV, Olila. And that's it. Alright, perfect. So our route is checked and everything is in here. Last but not least, we do the radios. We'll take 1228 active, 1215 standby, squawk 2000, and I don't think we can really do anything down here, can we? No, not really. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so that's our setup basically completed. We'll leave the audio tuning for now. So as you can see, everything is RNAV based. They don't even include any VOR on the chart anymore. Alright, wonderful. So that's pretty much our general setup completed. Last but not least, let's press the toga button down here. So roll toga, LNAV, looking good, and the speed will be automatically controlled. Well, perfect. So that's our setup completed. Few things, of course, that I would like to see added here, but I think mostly everything worked. What's the GSX status? Boarding completed. Alright, before I'm gonna request the pushback, let's go ahead and turn on that APU. And then... once again, you'd have to unlock the door first, and then use the handle to close it up. Alright, and close that door. Lots of nice little visual things over here. The only one thing that I'm missing still is the custom FMS. That is really the one important part for me. Okay. So the APU is available. Ground power off, and then GSX, prepare position for pushback and departure. Alright, down here everything's done. Onto the ground menu, we can get rid of all those. I'm going to get the EFB up here because it's kinda handy for taxi. So a little departure briefing then. I'll just do it the simple way. I'll do it the Airbus way, because that makes it easier in my opinion. The Airbus Smart Briefing is just really good. So, Warsaw runway 29er full length, Olila 6 Golf departure, climbing 6,000 feet, which is still an altitude over here. MSA 3000 keeps us safe, extra fuel and time we didn't take any. Okay, we don't really have any hotspots for the taxi routing. Stop margin for the RTO is plenty. Engine outset straight at 25 miles. It can come back immediately. We are under the max landing weight, I do believe, and don't have anything special or non-standard here. Couple altitude restrictions on the departure, but we should be able to do to catch those fairly easily. You see any threats for the departure? Nope. Wonderful. So the only thing that I'm really missing now is proper normal checklists, because the one you have down here are, you know, let's call it a bit simplified in my opinion. Okay, we'll just leave it at that. We will just leave it at that. Okay, so pushback facing south as we're departing on runway 29er, and with all that good stuff out of the way, beacon on, and well, that's it, isn't it? I think it is. Alright, wonderful. Ground from flight deck. Go ahead. So please confirm doors and hatches are closed, ground equipment removed, and bypass pin is installed. All confirmed. Roger, clear to push facing south, parking brake released. Okay, starting the push, stand by for engine start. Standing by. Beautiful A320neo, isn't it? And beautiful airport. I really like the terminal modeling over here. They did do a great job on that one. So, I suppose we can just move the EFB on this side as well, make it a bit easier to view for our first officer. Why do we get that warning sound? What have they forgotten? The doors are all closed. That was my first idea, kinda. But okay. So ground flight, starting engines 2 and 1. Engine 2 start. The pushback may be slightly off over here, because there is no GSX profile available for this very scenery yet. So I still have the GSX profile for the fly too high scenery for Warsaw. And, well, things might be tiny bit offset from one another, as it usually happens with different sceneries. But when you're using a GSX profile tailored to one scenery, then that can certainly show. So that's probably the reason why they're pushing us a little bit off the center line here. Okay, push completed. Set brakes. Brake set, and we have a good start on 2, starting engine 1. Clear 1. I really like how easy it is to start those engines on the Embraer. Overall, the real Embraer is such a well thought out concept. That's probably the reason why I like to do the second flight over here with the FSS Embraer, because I would love to have a good steady level Embraer, and the Flight Sim Studios does show a couple of very good signs. It's really mostly just the fact that the FMS and the autopilot is still so limited. I'm just really hoping to make good progress behind the scenes there. And that we are gonna start seeing that stuff come in soon. Okay, while the startup is ongoing, quick check down here, everything selected. TCAS can be selected as well. And the rest of the stuff we'll do later. Okay, ground, we have 2 good starts, you're clear to disconnect, show me the sign on the left side with a pin and have a good day. Bye now. And there she is. Okay, clear signal is received. So, APU off, and one target is check, transponder. Always a bit of a problem in this aircraft, but hey, I tell you what, we are just gonna turn that thing on already. Okay. Flaps 2, are you ready for the flight control check? Full up, full down, neutral. Full left, full right, neutral. Rudder, full left, full right, and neutral. Okay then. So a taxi, fairly straightforward in the true sense of the word. So straight ahead over here via Mike 3 onto Echo 2, and from there we'll taxi to the full length. Okay, clear left side, clear right side. So where is that wiper selector again? Up here. So, look at that. I told you, their modeler has a lot of free time at the moment as they're waiting for the systems. So they have done some custom animations there. Not exactly perfect, you can see how they lag a little bit behind, but in general, a very good idea. I have a feeling that due to the simple fact that the modeler has so much time available at the moment, once the FMS guys are able to follow up, we're actually gonna see a very good aircraft here. We do need a lot of thrust to get going here. I believe 40% is the limit on this plane for ground operations, and you can see that it does seem to struggle a little bit at that. Okay, let's select the weather radar here. By the way, my first opinion of the airport scenery really confirms itself as we're taxiing out over here. They did a great job on modeling that apron. It has that feeling to it, you know? They have a lot of variety in the apron textures here. Like you can see a couple of those lighter stripes, then all the different surface types over here. In my opinion, the scenery really convinces. So I feel somewhat bad for not being able to pronounce that developer's name. I'll call them DD over here. And DD they produce awesome sceneries, we know that. And they've once again done so over here in Warsaw. Okay, so there was one more thing here, that was the trim setting. 0.2. So, trim up 0.2.
Takeoff, okay.
Alright, so quick review of the takeoff briefing here. Left seat takeoff, speeds 129, 132, 135. The sit basically straight out. No speed restrictions, couple altitude restrictions that really shouldn't be much of a problem to meet. We are going to depart with with an attempt to do everything automatic, and I think that really summarizes it. Any questions? No? Wonderful. Oh, let's maintain the center line here. Temperature is plus 18, so no anti-icing needed. Very reactive on the brakes, this aircraft. Alright, line up. Cabin crew, prepare for departure. The auto throttle is always a little bit of a threat here. You arm it, and once you push the thrust levers above a certain limit, it just automatically kicks on. So that's the reason they only arm it when you do the lineup procedure. Some airlines actually only arm it once you're actually already lined up. Okay, wind slightly from the right. So then, do the wipers have a high position? Yes, they do. Beautiful. Okay. Take off.
Throttle.
Oh, give me that takeoff power, please. Here we go. Check. Gear up. Maybe they could turn the volume of the first officer up a little bit, because that was rather hard to understand here. Okay, enough is captured. Autopilot on. And the wipers are going off. Okay, 200 actually is our first restriction, though I have a feeling this is just a coincidence. Flaps 1. Speed checked. Flaps 1. And flaps up. Speed checked. Flaps up. So, let's see when the airplane is going to start accelerating by itself. It must have been a coincidence, because we have passed that waypoint. Here we go, passing 3,000. Okay. So, we do get a couple of weather returns over here, but doesn't really look serious, does it? Probably just the standard Asobo overlay. You guys know my opinion on that one. Alright then, let's climb flight level 220, which is going to be our cruising level. Climb thrust is selected. And since we're cleared to a higher level, let's go ahead and go for full thrust over here. Okay, so thrust is increased, we're on the way. So, auto brake is off, landing gear is up, flaps are up. And the pressurization is building. Beautiful. I do have to say, this rotation was a lot nicer than it was last time. Probably because I forgot to trim last time. I wouldn't be surprised. But this time it looked really well. Set standard. Standard cross-check passing flight level 7-1 now. Checked. Okay, so far so good. So looking at the track of the real aircraft on Flight Radar, they probably got it direct to Olila at this point. So let's find that. Olila, direct to. And here we go. Some pretty beautiful graphics here, aren't they? And no more pink decals. That's probably most important here, is it? Passing 10,000. Lights off. Stereo cockpit sign off. That stereo cockpit sign there actually is an indicator for the cabin crew that we are right now in a busy phase of flight and they better not call us unless it is really urgent. If it is urgent, they will call us anyway, so we know that when we've got that sign on and we don't receive a call from them over some time, or rather if we receive a call from them, then that indicates that there is a problem. If we don't receive a call from them for a longer time, then we can start to worry if we forgot that sign. Okay, it does seem smooth to me over here, so let's go ahead and release our guests. And that's it. Alright, so up and on the way. I just like the rate of climb here. 4 minutes in the air and already in flight level 140. Do have to admit though that the elapsed timer only starts when the wheels are up, so it does not start when we set the takeoff thrust like we normally do with the timers on the Airbuses and stuff. So there's always that. Okay, we don't need either of you anymore. Can just take a sit chart, but we're flying towards Olila already. Would be very nice if we had an en route chart available here now, but I suppose we gotta live with what we have. Okay, so let's take a few moments here and see if we can do a little bit of playing with the VNAV stuff. So we're on the climb page here, and that is our climb speed schedule. It is blue, so we should be able to change it. What happens if we do 300 knots there? It works, and the plane actually flies it. I do like the rate at which it pitches when in level change mode over here. I mentioned that one earlier on my last flight with it, on the Lufthansa flight, that when you're in vertical speed or in FPA mode, it pitches pretty quickly. In level change, it actually looks fairly okay to me. That may be something worth mentioning over here. So if you look at how it pitches up right now, you barely see it looking outside. Right now you'll see it somewhat, but this is a good rate. This is a very good rate. This would be comfortable to the passengers. So that's quite okay. Okay, so if we go on to the cruise, let's actually make it 300 knots on Mach 0.74, flight level 220. It would be nice to get all those calculations done here, especially the optimum altitude would be pretty neat to have. And that is not very hard to do. You literally just have a couple of tables to read out. Any developer should be able to do that. I might just about submit another support ticket there. So, approaching. Let's go to vertical speed now. And now, as I'm about to dial the vertical speed down, have a look at how quickly the airplane pitches in that. You can see rather abrupt, and it has this little overshoot in which it corrects for. So at speeds like this, 300 knots indicated airspeed, or true airspeed here, of 400 knots, that would be rather uncomfortable for our guests. 1000 to go. I'm afraid we have to do it again. So there it is, 1000 feet a minute. Why do we start turning to the left now? Just a wind shift, or what was it? Normally wind shifts are more violent in the simulator, so I'm not 100% sure of what this was. Okay, so the real airplane did not fly any of that transition. It just went more or less straight into the final approach. Let's go ahead and find ourselves the chart for our destination so that we know which waypoint that is that we have to proceed to. So, Echo Papa Golf Delta. Approach, ILS 29. And the FAF is at waypoint 941, so if we fly direct 902, we should be good to go. Now let's just hope the airplane is capable of doing that. They used to have a bug there in the past, but tell you what, let's go direct to E-plan, just to be sure we have a sufficient final. But I do seem to recall they fixed that, and they did. Okay, the plane is flying to E-plan. Still have a couple of those approach waypoints names here. Those should definitely have been removed, but hey, the plane is going where we want it to go, that's most important. A little bit of descent planning over here. And this is where the FMS really lags behind for the moment. No VNAV. So flight level 220 means we need 66 miles in order to descend. Our destination is located pretty much at sea level here, 500 feet. Those don't count. So we need 66 miles for the descent, 10 miles to lose the speed. And then we've got a tailwind component of 10 knots. Let's ignore that. So 76 miles prior to our destination, we got to start our descent. And, well, Iplem is on a 14-mile final. So if we say we start the descent like 50 miles before Iplem, we should be good to go. So 500 miles prior Iplem, that means top of descent in about 43 miles. Should be just about enough to run through our approach preparation, I suppose. So, frequency 110.3. Into here and into here. And on nav2 active, I will tune Gdansk VOR 16.1. And we'll tune that on nav1 standby as well. Okay, minimums for the approach. We're in a Cat Charlie aircraft 708, so the plane can only take the minimums in steps of 10s. That means we are going to enter 710. Here it is. And it is a barometric minimum, very important there. I recently had a discussion in the PMDG forum with someone again in regards to which minima to use, baro or radio. And for that reason, just a quick reminder over here for every one of you. Barometric minimums for anything that is not an autoland. So anything that's not an ILS Cat 2 or Cat 3, you use barometric. And only for an ILS Cat 2 or ILS Cat 3, you use radio. The easy thing to remember is if it's not an autoland, you don't use radio. Okay. So, the course 287. And I do believe we had to... Oh, look at that, it actually stays in LNAV. Okay, so, course 1, and... that is going to take a small while to dial in now. 287. Right, back to FMS, and we're still in LNAV, wonderful. Alright, then let's go ahead and check our routing. So starting at Iplem, thereafter 902, 941. And in here we have Iplem, 902, 941, and then the runway. And unfortunately, no missed approach in here, but, well, that is known already. In any case, the missed approach is easy as climb straight ahead to 3000, then as directed. I can do that. MSA 2700, and if we take a look at our arrival stuff, that is all in. Let's go to the landing page, and landing initialization. So, no way to request the weather here, unfortunately, so I will just have to do that off screen here. I do apologize for that, but I don't really see how I could do it any different. Okay, in any case, our destination weather 340 at 14. So it's going to be a wind somewhat from the right hand side over here. The temperature is 15 degrees. Flaps 5, non-precision approach. I tell you what, we did 5 last time, let's do a flap full approach this time. Okay, runway heading 287. 11 knots of crosswind from the right. No icing suspected, and that should be it. Okay, config full, the speeds are in. There should be an approach initialization somewhere as well, shouldn't there? Let's see, approach speeds, here they are. Okay, so last time we did the speed selection according to the green dot. This time, let's just go ahead and use the fixed speeds. because that is a strategy. On aircraft that have little variance between the possible payloads, so with only 100 passengers, that can be 100 tons, 10 tons, but you know, it's not that great. In some of these aircraft, for simplification purposes, you simply use a fixed speed strategy, and the Embraer is one of those aircraft where you can select it. So you either have fixed or you can just use green dot up here. You can add the green dot additive, then the exact speeds are going to be calculated by the FMS and flown by the aircraft. We did that last time. Let's go ahead and use the fixed speed strategy this time. And I am going to keep all of these unmodified. So that we can just try those default values here and see what they look like and how the airplane is going to behave that way. Okay, I think that's mostly it, really. We're now 57 miles from Iblam, so we can start our descent pretty soon. Well, I'm wondering about the direct distance to destination over here, 67, whether that is Iblam. No, should be 14 miles on top, so 69. This is 67, so probably the direct distance from our present position to that waypoint. This should really be along the flight plan. It says distance to go at the top after all. But okay. What else do we have there? RTA progress. I suppose we don't have to worry about that. And, well, standard stuff. Enough data? Huh, too bad. This would be a really useful page, I figure, but okay. Alright then, last but not least, before we actually start the descent, let's go onto the descent page here. For the speeds, 287.4, let's make it 300, because why not? Transition level, 180, I disagree with that. Altitude is 65, QNH is 1016, so we're gonna make that transition level 75. Alright, and that should be our setup pretty much completed. So we're now 47 miles from Iblam, let's go ahead and start our descent. Might be a little bit high in profile here, so let's go FPA -4 in order to catch that profile again. Alright, last but not least, let's go ahead and grab the taxi chart. What I'm doing here, Echo Golf. Echo Papa Golf Delta, that's what we're looking for. So, airport chart over here, and then we'll also take the taxi chart, oh sorry, the parking chart down here. Rather busy apron. So landing 27, vacating on Echo. That's probably 1,400 meters down the runway. Would be very nice if we had a calculator for that, but in the absence of one, let's go ahead and use auto brakes medium over here. I figure that should be more than sufficient. Okay, ready for the briefing? So MSA 3000 keeps us safe. We're already inbound onto the extended center line in form of Iblam for an ILS approach runway 29. The minimum 720. Is it 720 or 710? 710. Should set that on the right side as well. Okay, minimum 710. Go around trajectory straight ahead 3000. Extra fuel? Yeah, we do have extra fuel. Though I don't have any numbers how much. If we take a look at SimBrief, then what do we get? Would be really nice if we had all those features on the FMS. So we have a diversion fuel of 2,200. So looking at this, 2,800 on board right now. We have maybe some 15 minutes extra. Alright. I will let the autopilot fly most of the approach. I'm only going to disconnect it on the very final approach there. Landing flaps full, stop margin 1,400. We will use the reversers and auto brakes medium to vacate on the first rapid exit taxiway. I don't see any hotspots. Do you have anything special or non-standard? No? Beautiful. Okay, briefing complete. And passing 15,000. Seatbelts on. Ladies and gentlemen, from the flight deck, this is your captain speaking. We've started our approach to Danzig, and the remaining flight time is now approximately 15 minutes. We have turned on the seatbelt signs. We do expect a few turbulences on the approach, so please return to your seats and fasten your seatbelts now. The weather at the moment 15 degrees and a couple of rain showers in the area. Thank you for flying with us today. We hope you enjoyed your trip and look forward to welcoming you again soon. I'm not gonna try a Polish one, don't even ask. Okay, so that's our guest's KTOT 4. So that should be mostly it. Wish I had some proper normal checklists here. You know, those we have down here, suppose they are kinda okay over here, but especially that first page here with that huge engine start checklist. You know, there's stuff on there that just wouldn't be in there like that. Say nav lights on while you have the beacon already in the before start checklist. That sequence doesn't make sense. And there's things over here like APU start, bleed air APU. You wouldn't really put stuff like this in a checklist. Let's call it that way. Okay, reaching level 100, the speed will come back once we level off over there. Then Iplam is on a 14-mile final, so a little bit of vertical management here. 4,000 is our altitude for Iplam. So 10,000 down to 4,000 means we gotta lose 6,000 feet. So 6 times 3, 18 miles. In other words, we're a little bit on the high side at the moment. But let's go ahead and help the aircraft a bit. And use some speed brake. Right, in the meantime, let's dial the altitude down a bit again. Where's level change? Here it is, nicely hidden. Okay, so down 4,000. Then set QNH. QNH 1016 cross-check, passing 9,500 now. Checked. Okay, and now we got a descent, so full speed brake. Passing 100. Landing lights on, sterile cockpit sign on. I'll just flick the taxi light on over here as well. Okay. Beautiful, so Iplam in 4,000. 10 miles to run. We also got to figure in a little bit of speed reduction here, so let's just keep it at the full speed brake for now. But if we look over here, 2,400 feet a minute, 5-degree descent angle. That's beautiful. So it does descend pretty nicely with the speed brakes. Should be able to make a straight-in approach without many problems. This one says 22 miles to our destination. The real distance is a little bit longer. Would be really useful if this worked correctly, though. So 8 plus 14, so we're looking at about 22 miles. Passing 7,000, we need 21 plus our speed reduction 26. So we're just going to keep using the speed brake for a little bit longer over here. Some low-lying clouds, it seems. Nothing too shabby, though. Sometimes I like going to that GoPro perspective. $1,000 to go. Okay, so let's go to approach speed. Oh, actually, with a fixed speed schedule, can it even do that? Well, we don't need any thrust, my friend. Manual speed control. 210. And then we don't need the speed brakes anymore. Okay, I'll let the FMS fly us onto the final approach, and once we're established on there, I will start changing over to the localizer mode. Crossing Iplan. Descending 3000. And level change. Okay, let's switch over. So, localizer 1, approach mode armed, localizer capture. Flaps 1, speed checked. And then flaps 1 speed should be 180. Interesting intercept here. First it turned right, now it's turning left and goes across it in an S-turn. Not exactly what I would expect the airplane to do. Glide stop capture, go around altitude 3000 set, flaps 2. Speed checked, flaps 2. And that's 160 knots. Just wondering, if I go to FMS speed now... It doesn't do it, okay, that's fine. Well, so landing flaps 133 plus 5 knots correction, so 137 is going to be our final approach speed. I will just dial that one in. Looks like we are gaining a bit of speed here. You're down. Cabin crew, please take your seats for landing. Okay, runway heading set. Speed is coming back now. 8 miles, 200 knots, a little bit fast, but if you look at the wind component here, 13 knots of headwind, 32 knots actual wind, then we should be able to slow it down without many problems. Okay, flaps 3. Speed checked, flap 3. And that one helped. Now the speed is coming back nicely. Beautiful city. Okay, flaps full. Speed checked, flaps full. Little harsh reaction of the auto throttle there, but hey. Okay, so the gear is down, the flaps are full, and that should be all we need. Alright, enough of enjoying that view, let's go ahead and do a little bit of manual flight, shall we?
1000.
So, checked. If I look at this, it looks like the V approach is already corrected for those 5 knots, so let's go back down to 132. Like that. Right, remember to flare the airplane a little bit earlier, since the radio altimeter seems to be based on the height of the flight deck and not on the height of the main wheels. And with that out of the way, trying to disengage auto throttle.
Throttle.
Well, then I have to use the switch. I don't like doing that because it's not realistic. But interesting, we get a glide slope warning on autopilot. But yeah, the puppy is ProArt as well. Tell you what, correcting manually. And here we go, looking better. And if the flight director doesn't work, we just turn it off.
400. Approaching minimums.
Checked.
300. Minimums.
Continue.
200. 100. 50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
Okay, spoilers, reverse green. Manual brakes.
Auto brake.
That might have been a little strong auto brake selection. Okay. Well, note to myself, auto brake medium is rather strong in this aircraft. Okay, 29 minutes flight time as forecast. Welcome to Gdansk. Let's go ahead and taxi up to the terminal. At least we made the exit. More than easily. Okay, there is a taxiway going straight over here. Taxiway Mike. And as we're vacating, lights off. APU on. Flaps up. I don't really know what to do with the transponder here. It should be mode alpha. Well, suppose I just want to do some switching. Okay, and with that, welcome to Gdansk, everyone. Another Lufthansa over here. They are widespread in Poland as well. I suppose we are just gonna take stand number 20 over here. Follow me, no thanks, and straight into the stand. Looks like they want us on the dashed line. That's fine, we can do that. Taxi light off. Alright, and here we are. Parking brake set, APU is running. Shutdown 2, shutdown 1. Okay, request deboarding please. Both engines running down, looking for 20% N2. Here we go. Beacon off. Elec pump A off. And the signs off. Okay, wonderful. And then, where's the jetway? Looks like it's docked already. Yes, it has. Okay, beautiful. Certainly the weather is quite a bit nicer over here than it used to be over in Warsaw. But I'm afraid we can't enjoy it for too long, as we'll have to fly back pretty much straight away. Nonetheless, I do hope that you have enjoyed the flight and that you can enjoy the nicer weather over here for a little bit longer. I would like to say thank you very much for watching. Hope that you've enjoyed this one. As mentioned in the previous video, the Embraer is starting to come together. All that we really need is the custom FMS now, so that we really get an enjoyable aircraft. It does show quite a lot of good signs by now. Still, would I recommend to buy it right now? Well, that really comes down to you. It doesn't have advanced navigation features. You can see we are mostly using directs over here to get where we want to go. Of course, we got to do the vertical navigation ourselves, which is also somewhat of an issue. So, let's put it that way. If you just enjoy flying direct point to point and don't mind about, well, I'm not even talking about advanced navigation capabilities here like RF or stuff. I'm talking about basic navigation abilities. If you don't mind that kind of stuff, then yeah, I would recommend the Embraer actually. If you, on the other hand side, prefer a rather complete FMS, then I would probably recommend you to wait until they finally release theirs. But the airplane starts to come together. They have worked on it for how long now? 18 months or something, or 20 months since the initial release of the aircraft, so there is most definitely some progress that we can see there. In any case, that's gonna be it from my side, so thank you very much for watching. Be sure to like, comment and subscribe, and if you really love what I'm doing on this channel, I would appreciate a small donation through the Buy Me Coffee link in the video description below. Thank you for watching, and see you all again on the next one.